There are a lot of people telling us that our industry's dead. You know, we need to fold up, go online only. Bloggers are taking over. There's a lot of negative information about what we do. And I've thought that too. I thought I might be the last one after all this time. I might be the last owner and I'd be shutting it down because no one thought newspapers were relevant anymore. But here in just the last couple of years, I've actually been reinvigorated because I do think there's a place for us. We just have to look a little different and act a little different, but we'll be doing the same job. And I'm actually become quite excited about our prospects. And someone's going to figure this all out and figure out how to make news continue to pay for itself like it has for decades. And once that's figured out, I think we'll all have a breath of fresh air and start rolling again. And I'm excited about it.
This year, we celebrate the 150th anniversary of the Kansas Press Association. While our industry faces major challenges and continues to undergo unprecedented change, our core values and the reason we exist remain unchanged: to deliver quality journalism to the citizens of our state and nation. Despite the proliferation of new voices ranging from bloggers to Twitter users and social media outlets, there is no argument that authoritative journalism, the kind we practice every day, will continue to be essential to our democratic system. There's no doubt what we do still matters.
As a small nonprofit, it's difficult for us to get the word out about what we're doing. And so what the paper does is it's an equalizer. You know, if you think of knowledge and information as being power, the newspaper transfers that power out of the hands of the few into the hands of the entire community.
I depend on the newspaper to be my knowledge base for local events that I know are factually true and not things that I hear when I go out for supper or whatnot. Takes the rumor out of it.
My uncle has owned dailies and weeklies throughout the Midwest, so I'm pretty supportive of local papers in general. But I think from that experience, I've seen what the paper does mean to a lot of people. And a lot of people take it a lifetime, and that's a part of their lives. So it's a real important piece. I think that's how a community is judged, is, you know, you come and see a downtown, you look at their newspaper, and if they're both viable, you're pretty sure that community's healthy.
Yes, the world is changing, and newspapers are changing as well.
Well, I mean, we just can't think of ourselves as a newspaper company anymore. And we have to think of ourselves as a news and information provider for Lawrence, Kansas. And that means we're going to do it however we can provide it. You know, smartphone, the web, print, carrier pigeon, whatever it takes. We're going to get the news out there. We're going to serve the audience, as I said, however they want to get served. We're going to serve advertisers however they want to get served, however they want to connect to an audience. We're going to give them multiple ways to connect to an audience. Not digital first, not paper first, but audience first. We want to present our audience information any way that we can present them information in any media. We don't want to be limited to just print or just digital or just an app. We want to be able to give them anything, however they want it, whenever they want it, and that's what we're trying to do.
I think that there will always be some level of demand for a print product, but there's no doubt that it's going to diminish more and more over the next several years. But there will always be a demand for our product. There will always be a demand for local news, and there will always be a demand for us to cover these events. We just have to learn how to adapt and provide coverage on these multiple levels.
In order for news people to continue to be relevant, we have to become the hub of information for our community. And whatever avenue of news that takes, we have to go with it. We can't be happy and complacent and just go with print like we have forever. It has to be print and social media and internet and mobile. You know, how big is mobile becoming? If we don't do that, someone else will, and then we'll lose a little bit of our territory, and then how relevant will we be? What I use social media for is to develop a conversation and a relationship with my readers. And I think that especially works with the younger people who right now seem to be on Twitter all the time when you can only do so much in a limited number of characters. But if I keep a conversation going and develop a relationship, I'll find that they feel like they're part of the news just by talking to me with it.
Those seeking information today know their best chance of finding out the facts about the issues is right where it has always been, in their local newspaper.
There's obviously other ways of getting information these days, but it's not accurate. Facebook will light up with, well, they think so-and-so is this, and they think they're doing this, and they think they're being airlifted and all that. It's not an accurate depiction of what's going on. You can get the information maybe from there, but like reports from the battlefield, the initial reports are often very inaccurate. And so you really need somebody to report exactly what's happened, otherwise you're getting coffee shop talk. Facebook is just the coffee shop on steroids.
There was really a feeling that those in the newsroom and the paper as a whole kind of were on a mission. And the mission was to do the best damn job they could do in reporting what's going on.
If we didn't have our local newspaper here in Lincoln, I think we would lose our sense of tradition as well as our sense of pride in our community.
Newspaper publishers still realize community leadership can be demonstrated through strong local editorials, a continuing tradition in Kansas.
We still keep a pretty active editorial page, which is rare. You don't see it as nearly as much in small community newspapers anymore, which I think is a real shame. So I would say the Advocate is appropriate still for our paper. We really do advocate for a community.
I think we make a point to editorialize on local issues where that's not done on a tweet or anything like that. And I think we do a good job of being very thoughtful.
The newspaper must have the courage, not just to be a gadfly or to say things to be talked about at the morning coffee clubs, but to really have the courage and the backbone to speak out when it's important to speak out.
Readers still look to their local newspapers to serve as watchdogs of government.
The newspaper is definitely a watchdog in the community. For me, as an immigrant, I've been in Garden City over 20 years, and as my nationality is Mexican, they have the La Semana coverage as well every week.
If the local paper didn't exist, I think one of the big fallouts of that would be we wouldn't be able to keep our public officials accountable. They're the ones that keep us informed of what the city commission and the county are all deciding.
I've always felt that the Journal World does a great job of making local government and education and healthcare accountable for what is important to Lawrence and our citizens. They are very fair and are great advocates for doing what is right for Lawrence and will benefit the greater population.
Advertising, long the major source of revenue for newspapers, continues to be critical to their long-term viability.
Well, without the paper, I think the theater, golly, one thing we'd have a problem with is advertising. How in the world would people know what movies we have on? We've got the sign outside that shows, what the 3 shows are, but I can put so much more in the advertisement in the newspaper and explain things and put times down.
When we came back, we took over this business 4 years ago, and a lot of the insurances the previous owner wasn't taking. So it helped us a lot with our customer base, having the newspaper there for us to get our message out there, and a direct message that pretty much everybody in the county receives the paper to say, hey, we take X, Y, and Z insurance, come and see us.
I think some people don't realize that advertising is our bread and butter. And so, and our advertisers still, 98% want the print product. So do they want to be on our website? Sure, but not instead of being in the newspaper. So I think the more you educate your public about how a newspaper runs, the better people understand. And advertisements are news, so we can't live without them.
What do newspapers do better than any other media source? They help build community.
Newspapers and community-based organizations like Thrive are in the same business. They're trying to build community. And so it works out very well that we're able to pick up the phone or send an email and say, hey, here's what's going on, come cover it. It's a symbiotic relationship.
In Washington County, we were having a swimming pool issue, And we needed to have a bond passed so that we could have a new swimming pool in the community. And our newspaper was a great leader in getting out the news as to why we needed a new facility.
There's a large expatriate community around the country of Marysville and Marshall County residents who read our website. And there's a strong, people have a strong affinity for this community. There's a lot of community pride here, and it carries on out into the wider readership out across the country. And I'm really surprised, if people don't get their paper on time in California or Texas, we hear it. They want to know what's going on in Marysville, and they have pretty deep-seated feelings for this place.
One example I might cite was our involvement in the local animal shelter. They were having trouble convincing local government to step up and replace a pretty dilapidated and outdated and frankly embarrassing animal shelter. The Humane Society had gone before local government for help, and they just didn't think that they should spend the money at that time. We wrote editorials, obviously supporting the new shelter. A number of stories, and I think when we put those graphic images in front of people showing the poor conditions, I'd like to think that our local government paid a little more attention and had some better conversations about working together, our city and county, and eventually building a new shelter. We also helped put together a fundraiser, which was instrumental in helping the Humane Society build a better shelter. So we saw some direct impact in that way, and I think they're third year into the shelter now, and it's been a successful venture. And again, through editorials and some news stories, we think we helped make a difference there.
Baxter Black, the cowboy poet, was asked to describe what his local newspaper means in his life. It's why we do what we do, and it's why what we do still matters.
Small-town papers often thrive because CNN and the New York Times are not going to scoop them for coverage of the VFW fish fry, or bridge construction delay, or local boys and girls playing baseball, receiving scholarships, graduating, getting married, or going off to war. I think of local papers as the last refuge of unfiltered America. A running documentary of the warts and triumphs of real people, unfettered by the spin, the bias, and the opaque polish of today's homogenized journalism. It's the difference between homemade bread and Pop-Tarts. It gives our little community a sense of place in the world. We are important to somebody. We make a difference, and the paper recognizes that. They are the glue, the mirror, the billboard, the flashlight, the semaphore, the boombox, and the microphone of small towns. It is how we hold hands. They care. They show we care. They wear our hearts on their sleeve. Is it accurate to say that I really love my local paper? Well, that's not quite the proper word, but I can't think of a better one.